Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator, and in this video, we're going to talk about this headline here that I saw just like within the last week or so, even though it's from February 22nd, 2020, two years ago. But this place, Stop These Things, the truth about the great wind and power fraud. They they seem to, I went to their website. They seem to, yeah, be not about wind power because it, according to them, is just a big fraud. And in this article that they put out in February of 2022, it says the wind industry clear fells 17,283 acres and wipes out 14 million trees to save the planet. So they weren't too happy with this either. Wiping out entire forest habitats is all part of our inevitable transition to a wind powered future. Across Germany, millions of acres of forest have been clear felled and great swatches cut through others to allow some 30,000 of these things to be spread, across Deutschland, so Germany, and now they're looking to do that in Scotland, where so far they say 13,900,000 trees have been chainsawed and or bulldozed out of existence. And of course, in order to save the planet, they call them phony eco warriors. But they say, the real environmentalists are then left to weep as natural habitats for all manner of birds, animals are turned into industrial wasteland. So, that sounded pretty logical. You're just like, wow, I don't know what Scotland's options were for planting wind farms, what all of the available sites were. But they found out this information through like freedom of information request here. And so, yeah, a Scottish citizen made a freedom of information request to which Scottish Forestry replied, thank you. You asked for the number of trees felled for onshore wind development in Scotland to date and the area of trees felled in hectares for all onshore wind development in Scotland to date. And so they said, specifically data covering renewable developments on Scotland's national forests and lands, which is managed on behalf of Scottish ministers by Forestry and Land Scotland, which is FLS. We'll see that later. The area of felled trees in hectares from 2000, the date when the first scheme was developed, is 6,994 hectares, which is 17,283 acres. And based on the average number of trees per hectare of 2,000, this gives an estimated total of 13.9 million trees that have been destroyed. And so, they say they try to give all the information they can, but some of it wasn't available. So you're like, wow, man, 17,000 acres and, almost 7,000 hectares. Is that really a lot? And, are all of these animals, birds, animals, going to have natural habitats to live in? Here's another article on energycentral.com. It kind of goes through a lot of the same things, breaks it down into like, how much was taken down per area. And the FLS, the Forestry and Land Scotland, said, renewable energy and forests are key to Scotland's contribution to mitigating climate change, and FLS is successfully managing both elements. So, people say a lot of things. A lot of government agencies say a lot of things. So I went and kind of looked at it, and so here's an article on the newstatesman.com from April 2022. Scotland's forests are the largest they've been in 900 years. The share of Scotland that is forested has increased from 6% a century ago to around 18% today. So, this concern that, birds and animals won't have any natural habitats is kind of thrown out the window. I mean, for that to be a concern, you would have to be losing acreage, not gaining, acreage. I mean, they gained 12% in 100 years, and that's that's nothing to be argued against. Right here, this is from the Scotland government, GovScot. It says, Scotland, the amount of forest is 18%. Northern Ireland is 8. Ireland is 11. Wales 15. The UK, England 10. France 31. Spain 45. Germany is 33. Italy 34. Up here in the Scandinavian countries, Sweden and Finland, where it gets pretty rural. Up north there, they're up in the 70s, 73 and 75% of the country are forest. So it's, there has to be a balance. Okay. I'm for clean energy. And there's a lot of these organizations out there. I mean, this organization is kind of like the independent media today, where just anything about the industry is wrong and it's horrible and we don't need it. And oh my God, look, they're going and they're just cutting down all these forests that take in carbon dioxide, and they provide habitat, they provide recreation, and Scotland really isn't losing forest. So, these people that are just out there to stop these things, maybe they don't have some other arguments about wind power fraud, but I'm not sure this is one of them. And especially when you come here to Scotland's forestry, it's the strategy from 2019 to 2020. It seems pretty reasonable to me. It says Scotland spans both temperate and boreal forests, and it has without human intervention, it is likely that much of Scotland would be covered by trees, uh, covered by tree species of a range of types, including pine, birch in the northeast, and oak woods in warm and wetter west. And they've always had forests. For 6,000 years, Scotland's trees and woodlands have been felled and harvested. As the population grew, more wood from forests was harvested, and many forests disappeared, making space for agricultural, people homes, and infrastructure. By early 20th century, Scotland, as well as the rest of the UK, forest was reduced to around 5%. The chronic lack of trees and timber was recognized as a strategic problem for the country, and so the Forestry Act of 1919 was introduced to address the issue. And they're out here for sustainable practices. So they had this change of focus for forest policy that resulted in the development of comprehensive standards for forest management in the 1990s, drawing on international initiatives stemming from the first Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro in 1992. But since the late 1980s, they have a close working relationship amongst government, the forestry sector, the environmental and community groups, and it's resulted in the development of a strong consensus and the need to promote and follow the internationally recognized principles of sustainable forest management, which you can't really argue right here. It says that that was defined as the stewardship and use of forest land that maintains biodiversity, productivity, regeneration capacity, vitality, and potential to fulfill now and in the future relevant ecological, economic, and social functions at local, national, and global levels that does not cause damage to other ecosystems. So that doesn't sound so horrible. And in the process, they have, tripled the size of the forests that are in Scotland. It says over the last 100 years, forests and woodlands cover Scotland has increased from 5 to 18.5%, and the highest in the UK. Scotland's forest and woodland area now covers more than 1.4 million hectares, which is owned, which one third of which is owned by Scottish ministers on behalf of the nation as part of the National Forest Estate. Over 7,500 ha is privately or communally owned. I'm assuming hectares. I'm not sure what ha is. But right here, it has more than 1.4 million hectares going on right now in Scotland. And this organization is just, we've got to stop these things because it's a big fraud. And what did they take out? 6,994 hectares. So maybe I'm missing something here, but that still leaves, way more than 1 million+ hectares for all of the birds and animals and, social activities and hiking to happen, and for the wood to be used and harvested because people do use wood to build homes, to build furniture, not that maybe their sustainable forest, shouldn't really also include number 5 hemp, but nobody's really talking about hemp. I assume it's not legal in Scotland. It just recently became legal in America. But this says here, when managed appropriately, the forest can provide considerable economic and environmental benefits, as well as helping improve the quality of people's lives. I mean, it's true. If you ever go out, it goes around social media, and it's true. Have you ever seen somebody like walking in a forest being mad? No. I've seen a lot of people be like, "Rah," and not having a good day, and they go out and they take a walk, and now they're in the forest and they're in nature, and suddenly they become calm. It has a very calming effect on people. So it says key economic activities are through the production of timber and wood, other wood fiber, and through provisions of recreation and tourism assets. So, yeah, the majority of economic activities associated with woodland creation, management, harvesting, and transportation, as well as a significant part of processing the wood products, takes place in rural areas. So, yeah, the forestry and timber sector comprises tree nurseries and businesses focused on planting, managing, and harvesting forests as woodland, as well as wood processing, producing a range of products including sawn timber, compost boards, paper, pallets, biomass, and bark. And they range from, artisan furniture makers, family-owned contracting micro businesses, and community-based biomass enterprises to UK-wide woodland management companies and multi-million-dollar panel, pulp, paper, and sawmills operating internationally. So it says right here, 94% of Scotland's timber production was softwood. In 2019 and 2015, it combined almost a pound of gross value added, a billion. pounds. And it employs over 25,000 people. So that is definitely some economic value to the country. That's a lot of jobs. 2,500, 25,000, and $1 billion gross value added for that's a big part of Scotland's GDP, I would guess. It says down here that Scotland's forests and woodlands are home to 172 protected species. And then they list some of those, and they say forests and woodlands also help purify our water and air, reduce flood risk, improve slope and riverbank stability, and help decontaminate soils on post-industrial sites. They're also a key part of Scotland's iconic landscapes, helping to frame views, adding color and textures, and making the passings of seasons. So here's some of the species that are in the forest, and, including 6 different species of bats. That's interesting. And then it says it improves people's lives because they provide, opportunities for people to engage in healthy activities, to take more exercise and improve their physical health. There's also compelling evidence regarding the psychologically and physiologically restorative effects of green space. Even just seeing forests and woodlands can help people cope with stress and reduce anxiety. And 63% of Scotland's visited a forest in 2014. It does, Or people out taking a walk in the woods, it does. It is calming. Something about it, like being near water, just something about seeing that blue in water, something about walking through the woods and just smelling the woods and just being outside in the fresh air and in nature. It has a positive effect on people. So this also says that around 200 community groups own and manage forests in Scotland because it improves the quality of people's lives, and community use and management of, I live in the mountains, and communities like to manage their outdoor space and make it accessible, and it truly is right to play an important role in enhancing the quality of life for people. They provide vital green space for people to enjoy and use, enhancing their physical and mental well-being. And we all, uh, people could definitely use some of that. So it says that they add a million pounds of gross added value per day. Some 500,000 homes are powered by the renewable energy. The forests have 10 million annual visitors. So the thing is, I saw this article that just really, put down cutting the forests. And at first I was just kind of like, wow, is that really such a good idea? Are they wiping out forests? Are they actually, taking away from birds and animals and just turning, Scotland into an industrial wasteland? Well, it doesn't seem so when you actually look at the facts. The forests are the largest they've been in over 900 years, and it really does seem like, now I'm not saying Land and Forest Scotland is a pure saint organization, and they've got it all together, because government agencies are government agencies, but um I don't see where they're falling behind either. The forests have tripled in size, and they are trying to make it so that, they can still have forests, they can get clean energy, and they can use the forest responsibly, and which includes even for human recreation, for even therapeutic reasons, just because it's healthy to go out and enjoy your forests. So, these people that are out there that just want to bash everything about the environment, it just it just doesn't always make sense. They're just out there bashing, and when you look at their argument, they have no real other argument here except for, turning it into industrial wasteland, and, birds and animals will not have anywhere to live. They don't really have any other argument, and that argument doesn't really seem to hold water. So I report here. You decide. Just looking at this, doesn't seem like Scotland's doing such a bad job of managing their forests and then trying to produce some clean energy. And there's a lot of people have to say about windmills, and oh my God, the blades, they can't be reused. I just read an article about how people are just starting to reuse those blades. Even if you just keep them intact without taking them apart, you could build fences. There's a lot of things you can do with those blades, just even keeping them intact. So, you know, this just sheds light on, people are quick to criticize any environmental thing, whether they really have a valid reason to or not. And in this case, I just don't see stop these things arguments. And it seems to me that Scotland is trying. They're, they seem to be doing a pretty good job, and they are really trying to balance it for, economic and environmental and recreational purposes. And um, th- on paper, they seem to be doing okay to me. So not all of these critics have value. So stay tuned, people.